What's up? What's up? Happy Friday, y'all. Happy Friday. Excited to be back for another live stream. If this is your first time here, my name is Justin Moore. I'm the founder of Creator Wizard, where I teach you how to find and negotiate your dream sponsorships. Today, we're talking about something really exciting. Every topic I talk about is very exciting to me, but that's just how I am. But today, we're talking about what happens when your video bombs. Like, will sponsors hate you? Will they still want to work with you? What do you do in those scenarios? Let me know in the chat. Has this ever actually happened to you where, you have, been excited about working with brands, but either the content that you're posting organically hasn't been doing very well recently, or you worked with the brand and the post didn't perform as well as some of your other content typically does? Let me know in the chat if that has ever happened to you. So I am live on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, LinkedIn, you name it, a bunch of different platforms. We got Happy Dad Jiggle Smack tuning in on TikTok. Let me see who we got on IG, because I am live there as well. We've got Passion Toolbox on IG. Thanks for all for tuning in. Let us know where you're tuning in from in the chat. So let's just jump right in. Again, I'm going to be talking about what happens when your video bombs. Will brands still want to work with you? Will they hate you? The quick answer is no, they won't hate you. But you should still stick around because I'm going to be telling you exactly why that is. Again, this is like a very interactive thing that I do every week. And so whatever questions you have around sponsorships and negotiations and brand deals and so on, working with partners, please let me know in the chat because I would love to answer those a little bit later in the live stream. We got Break Even Books live on YouTube. What's going on, man? Passion Toolbox said, yeah, that has definitely happened to us. So this is definitely, we've got some folks saying that this is me, so you're not alone. Okay. All right. So let's dive right into the topic. So again, as a creator, like one thing I wonder is, do you ever feel like you want to try new stuff, but you're worried about how the content will perform, right? What is a potential sponsor going to think if they see a couple recent videos with, let's say, lower views or likes or shares or something like that than normal? Like, how do you explain lower engagement to prospective sponsors to kind of stop them lowballing you at the negotiating table? Especially, again, if you're trialing a new series that maybe will gain traction eventually, but maybe it's going to take a few weeks or a few months to actually gather that momentum, right? So before we get to that, there's something that you really need to do right away, which is you need to ask the brand one critical question, okay? What if I told you that 2/3 of the time, the amount that you charge a sponsor should be completely detached from your views or your likes or your shares that your content gets? So strap in because I'm about to take you on a magic negotiation carpet ride and I'm going to blow your mind. You ready for this? Okay. So one of the most critical things that I teach is that what you charge for a sponsorship depends primarily on the brand's goals, right? You cannot provide a compelling proposal until you understand what their success metrics are, right? Now, you need to understand what the brand is actually trying to accomplish with their campaign when they first reach out, because your proposal, your pitch should change based on their goals. So let me explain the 3 possible goal types that every brand has when they approach you about partnering on a campaign. So the first one is a conversion. So this is about driving a measurable action, right? Like sales or downloads or app installs or coupon redemptions or clicks, right? And then there's repurposing, right? This is where the primary reason that a brand wants to partner with you is to reuse your content in other ways, beyond just uploading on your platform, right? And so this could take the shape of like embedding it on their website, reposting it on their social media, using it for paid ads, and so on. And then the final campaign goal type is awareness, right? This is where the brand just kind of wants to spread the word, get the word out there, right? Maybe it's a new product launch or something. So with conversion campaigns, when you're working with a brand, if they approach you about this type of goal, they're not going to understand or care about this evergreen strategy that you're employing when you're like trialing these new types of content, right? Their primary consideration is going to be the performance of your posts over the last, let's say, 30 days, right? Because that is the metric or the time horizon that they will be judged on by their boss or the client if it's an agency, right? So if some of your recent content has drastically less engagement than usual, you guessed it, right? They're probably going to offer you less than usual. But actually, isn't that kind of fair? Right? Because you shouldn't just expect a brand to pay you a ton of money if you're not going to provide the ROI that they're looking for based on their campaign's success metrics within that time window. And it's not fair for you to get mad about the fact that some brands simply won't be able to negotiate with this particular goal because they are beholden to an internal, what's called CPA or cost per acquisition metrics that are just set in stone. So the good news is that this is only one possible scenario, okay? So actually, let's take a pause real quick. Why do we have 74 people tuning in on TikTok? What the heck is happening here? That's the most amount of people I've ever had on TikTok. What is going on right now? Let me just take a pause here. Bars24632 said, what hair gel do you use? Great question. I use Crew Fiber. Like, I don't know, do you like it? I don't know what's going on here. But thank you for all these people who are tuning in on TikTok because I have no idea how that's happening. Is someone sharing it? Did someone share my TikTok? I don't know what's happening here. But yeah, we're popping off on TikTok right now. We've got Andy, we've got Joshua, Cal Burton, Drea's Curious Cuisine tuning in. We got Kay turning in. Marcus Presents. Hey, good to see you back, Marcus. Haven't seen you in a bit, man. And we've got John Nacarado from Think Media. What's up, John? Great to see you, man. All right. So again, for those of you just tuning in right now, what we're talking about is what happens when your video bombs or your post bombs or whatever. Our sponsor is actually going to hate you. So we talked a little bit about conversion-focused campaigns. So now I'd like to talk a little bit about repurposing campaigns. Okay. So when you ask a brand, what does success look like to you? And they tell you that they just really love your content, right? They're, we'd actually just love to use it for paid advertising, right? We want to cut this down, repurpose it, on Instagram or Facebook or YouTube or something like that. That is a repurposing campaign, okay? Therefore, your pitch should not be, okay, well, here's my rate for one YouTube integration and one TikTok. If that is your response, it's going to seem like you weren't even paying attention, right? So instead, your pitch should become awesome. I can actually make you 5 30-second videos that I don't even post on my platform, which you can use to run and A/B test ads on your own site or your own social handles. And so this means that the amount of money that you can charge for this deal is now completely detached from your average viewership, how many subscribers or how many followers you have, right? Because your platform now becomes your portfolio, illustrating that you can create compelling content for them to use however they please, right? So even if you've been experimenting with your content and some, let's say some recent videos or some recent posts have below average performance, this doesn't have any bearing on what you charge them, right? So, this is repurposing, okay? So the last type of campaign goal type that I want to talk about is an awareness campaign, okay? Now, if a brand approaches you trying to raise awareness of their latest product or their latest or their service, you absolutely should explain your current strategy and that you're perhaps experimenting with new content, right? And although the benefits might not be immediately obvious to the brand, it's up to you to try and educate them, right? For example, if you had any previous videos that started out with maybe low views, but turned out to be slow burners that eventually gained traction, right? Had that good momentum, show them to the brand. And potentially that could reassure them that they'll continue to get exposure long after you post the content or whatever the campaign window is, even if it's a little slow at the start. And, you can also explain to them that, for example, if you're on YouTube, YouTube is the number 2 search engine in the world after Google. So an integration with your content, even if it has low initial views, is a good long-term play for building the brand's share of voice, right? And so the joy of an awareness campaign is that the influencer marketing manager who you're communicating with is not going to have their boss breathing down their neck asking, hey, how many conversions did we get? I need to refuel my yacht this week. Because yachts are expensive, right? So the point is that your pricing should not be governed by your vanity metrics on social media in this scenario, right? It's all about illustrating to the brand the opportunity for continued exposure that's in front of them, right? So in general, you should not be forcing brands into a box, right? If there's one thing that I hope you take away from a lot of the stuff that I teach, it's that no two sponsorships should cost the same amount. When you give a brand a preset package, you don't make them feel special, right? What you're actually saying to them is, hey, brand, this here is a tiny little box of how you can work with me. I hope you didn't eat a big lunch because I'm about to stuff you in there. Does that feel good to the brand? No, that does not feel good to the brand. And what's more, you are leaving cash at the table. Remember, one size does not fit all, because when you offer a brand a bespoke package, you'll almost always come away richer. Okay, so I wanted to kick off, get the juices flowing today on the live stream about this topic because I hear it a lot, right? A lot of it comes down, a lot of pitching brands and working with brands comes down to the confidence aspect where, especially when you're starting out as a creator, you feel like, what business do I have even reaching out to brands or partnering with brands? Because man, my views or my posts, have sucked lately. Like they've been performing really bad. The algorithm hates me. That, the platform's not showing my content, my followers or subscribers or whatever. I get it. Like I hear that very, very frequently. And so one big takeaway and one big lesson and mindset shift that I'm hoping you get from this conversation is that is not the only thing that brands care about when they partner with creators. Like it has been my direct experience, having done hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of sponsorships over the years, that brands care about a lot more than just your views. They care about your professionalism. They care about the quality of your content. They care about, your speediness, right? Can you turn things around quickly on a quick timeline? Because oftentimes they're under the gun from their client, if it's an agency, or from their boss or whatever. Oftentimes what happens is that when a campaign gets greenlit by a brand or an agency or whatever, it's like you spend 2 months like planning something, and it almost always has scope creep, which means like, it gets bigger and bigger and the timeline slips and all this stuff. And so when you get to the point where it actually finally gets approved at the brand level or the company level, then now is the time where they're like, okay, well, we need to make up all that time we slipped, and we need to, I know we were going to have a 10-day or a 14-day period to actually recruit our partners or recruit our creators or whatever, but now we only have 5 days. We need to make up this time somehow because the launch date hasn't changed. That still has to be X or whatever. And so if you can illustrate to a brand or to a partner that like, hey, I get it. Like I can make this happen. Then you are going to instantly zoom to the top of their list of like a preferred partner that they're just going to come back to over and over, because I know for a fact, I've had direct experience doing this when I ran the agency, that most influencers are not that way. Most influencers drag their feet. They prioritize lots of other things, posting the content that they're mostly passionate about. Working with brands is just like a way to keep the lights on, a way to, let them focus on the content that they're creating. And so if you can flip that, you can still obviously love the craft, but if you take the business stuff more seriously and realize that it can represent a very lucrative income stream for you and your creator business generally, then you'll be way ahead. So, we got Timeless Beauty tuning in the TikTok chat. What is up? Great to see you. Let's pop back over. We've got Jeannie. We've got Kat Lazada. We've got Mr. Investmith tuning in live on IG. We've got Marcus saying in the chat, when that happens, I focus on my other metrics. Most of the traffic is search-based, so recent performance is not the most important factor. Marcus says, the relatable yacht bit made me laugh out loud. Yeah. And Marcus says, I was offered a consulting gig based on my content. Your tips about negotiations and understanding your value were super helpful. Even though this was not about sponsorships, your tips are so transferable. Marcus, I appreciate that so much, man. I'm so proud of you and congratulations. That's such a huge win for you. And like, you're such a great example of using your content to parlay into other opportunities that don't necessarily have to do with generating content on your particular platforms. One of my goals as a, generating content on social media or putting out stuff out there is to broaden everyone's perspective of like what a sponsorship can be or what a brand deal can be. A lot of people look at it in this very one-dimensional perspective where it's just like a brand gives me product or access to a software tool or whatever, and I talk about them on my social platform or on my podcast or in my course or in my community or whatever it is, right? And like that's what most people think of as like a brand deal or a sponsorship. But there's so many other ways in which you can provide value, again, like to partners, to brands, to companies that are, in my view, a sponsorship. You are helping this brand do something, and you are receiving money in exchange for that. And so I think that if you can have this mindset shift around all of the expertise that you have gained from going through the process of actually putting yourself out there, running a community, like posting on social media, right? Like having a podcast, whatever it is, blogging for many, many years, right? Like that, you have learned what actually works and what doesn't, like how you can actually find traction in that particular industry or content niche. So just music to my ears, when I hear creators are able to parlay this experience into other revenue generating activities. So congratulations, man. We got Sophs tuning in from Wales. What's up? What is up? Brielle Joy, is this the new advice from Justin? Because 2012 YouTube Heart, my 2012 YouTube Heart is so happy to come across this. That is exactly what this is, Brielle. However, I'm not just doing general life advice now or career advice. I'm talking all about how to get partnerships with brands. I am a sponsorship coach now. So this is like the only thing I talk about on all my platforms, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and so on. So for you to randomly stumble upon this is dope. And I appreciate the longtime support. For those of you guys who don't know me and you've like been following me for just a little while, my wife, April, and I, we've been on YouTube since 2009, if you can believe it. So I used to have a channel. Actually, my Creator Wizard YouTube channel used to be called Advice from Justin. And I think I had over like 500 videos just on general life advice, right? It was career advice, relationship advice, marriage advice, interpersonal, friendship advice, all this stuff. I've just always really loved doing that. Like growing up, I don't know why I had this kind of propensity for it, I guess, but like, I also was like, recognized in my junior high when I was like in 7th grade, where they had this program where it was like a peer support program. So if kids were having issues at school with their peers or with, just issues at home or whatever, rather than going and seeing a school counselor, like an adult, which is, I don't know, kind of stigmatized, or some kids really wouldn't want to open up to an adult like that or whatever. They identified a group of people like peers, same age, who they could talk to about stuff. And so I went through this whole training regimen, and it was amazing. Like I'd never heard of a program like that before, but it was like me and 2 other people basically in our whole school. And so I thought it was cool because I got to go like leave class like during the week multiple times to like do these counseling sessions for people. But it really opened up my heart to a lot of empathy to my fellow woman, my fellow, classmate, I guess. And like the struggles that people go through in life, so much of it is like, so much happens outside of the classroom or whatever to people in their lives and stuff. And so I think that is where this joy and this desire to like help people came from. And so, yeah, I focus on this now, and I'm having the time of my life. So great to connect with you, Brielle, again. Brielle says, I'm 23 and I started watching y'all when I was 12. Wow. My family life was whack and y'all were safe. And I'm so grateful for y'all. That's just so amazing. And that really makes my day. Honestly, I really can't tell you. I'm gonna save this because I'm gonna tell April about this, and yeah, really appreciate that. That's so kind. Jerry, what does it say? Jerry Ballard 8 just became a top 1 viewer. What does that mean? I am such a TikTok noob. I have no idea what any of this stuff means, but you're a top 1 viewer, so that's dope. Jerry said, Jerry just sent me a rose. Thank you, Jerry. I appreciate that so much. It means a lot. All right. I had a question in here on the YouTube chat. Kay says, I'm rewinding to the beginning, but yes, I recently had a sponsored IG reel, totally bomb, and all my hair content was performing well until my audience saw the word ad. You know what's interesting? Meta recently did a webinar around like creator best practices or like dispelling myths and things like that. And one of the things they said in there was that it is a myth that the platform itself suppresses like branded content. It's more related to the fact that an audience is just, they generally tend to skip over branded content or skip over ads. And they did say, which was interesting, that they may in the future actually prioritize branded content from creators so that this dynamic doesn't occur. A lot of creators have been like, well, yeah, they do that because they want the brands to like boost the posts or whatever. But yeah, that was a kind of an interesting admission from Meta, because I'd never really seen them address stuff like that before. It's not just unique to Instagram or Facebook or whatever. Like obviously that happens across other platforms, which is why, like, a lot of TikTokers say, oh, whenever I do a hashtag ad or I do branded content, it like performs so much worse than my other organic content. And so like, I think that anecdotal experience from creators across platforms, not just Instagram and not just TikTok, I think that's the evidence that it's not the platform suppressing branded content. It's more that just generally audiences are like, oh, it's an ad, let me swipe kind of thing, or just go on to the next post. And so, yeah, I get it though, because in the absence of admissions from platforms around how this stuff actually works, then the void of suspicion is filled, by creators. The void is filled with, like conspiracy theories around, oh, they're suppressing us, or they don't, they just want brands to pay, or like all this stuff. And so I think it's really important for platforms to like really step up and address a lot of these concerns that creators have. For example, another one I've heard is like from TikTok is like, if you say link in bio or you put link in bio in your caption or whatever, like your content is, not shown to as many. It's either like, shadow banned or, it's not shown or whatever. And this has actually happened to me. So I know for a fact that this happens. And I think it's their version of trying to avoid spammers, who are like trying to do crypto scams or whatever and all this stuff. But caught in the crossfire and collateral damage is creators who are trying to make a living on the platform, right? So if you're trying to drive someone to buy a digital product or join your email list or go to your merch store or whatever, which is your link in bio, it's like, okay, well, if I can't even say my link in bio in my videos, like you say you want to be an advocate for creators, but like what's going on here? Like there's a misalignment here. And so I think the platforms still have a lot to do to to deal with this. Like, and the other thing too is like, I think it's really important as creators that we have a little bit of empathy for some of the platforms here too, because man, running a platform of a global scale like that is really tough, and they have entire teams dedicated to this stuff. Like I myself have been, I've had multiple scammers try to impersonate me on, Instagram, TikTok, and so on, and then they try to get my followers. They'll auto follow or request to follow everyone who follows my real account, and they'll try and scam them, try and like do a crypto scam or try to scam them out of money or whatever. And people have sent me screenshots all the time of like these scammers. And so it's like, it sucks, right? And it's like, so I get it. It's like, it can be really challenging. So anyways, I just, in all the stuff that I teach, like I always really encourage creators to have a little bit of empathy for like both sides, whether it's you're working with brands and having empathy for the contact that you're working with, or having empathy for the platforms. Cause it's, I'm not saying that the platforms don't have issues and they're not, they can't be, they should be immune from criticism or whatever. That's not what I'm saying. It's more just like coming at this from a perspective of empathy can be very helpful sometimes, I think. Oh my God. Bram Craigo 67 says, Con, it has the juice. My wife, April, has been literally singing that for the last week nonstop. And so I literally cannot escape it, apparently. We got Molly tuning in on the IG, on TikTok. What's up, Molly? Molly, guess what? Gifted to Paid is officially launching. Officially in 12 days. You were an OG, Molly, because you took the beta of the course back in December, and so I'm so appreciative of you. And I'm so thrilled for it to finally go live. Because it's gonna be so awesome. I'm so excited. Martina McClure says your emails have helped me land several paid brand deals. Thank you, Martina. Tell me more. Well, how did that happen? Let me know. I love hearing this type of feedback. It always makes my day. So tell me what happened. Like, what deals did you get? How did it happen? Were these like opportunities that I posted in the secret research section, or like the free deal, or like the regular deals that I list every week? Anyways, let me know. Molly says, woo, everyone needs to take Gifted to Paid. I made 5 figures so quickly after that course. Molly, are you kidding me right now? I'm going to take a screenshot of that one. Dope. Thank you, Molly. I appreciate that so much. I'm so stoked to hear that. So I'm speaking of Gifted to Paid, like my T-minus 12 days, and just finished up filming all the course content, and I was scrubbing through it and looking at it, and it looks so good. Like, it looks so good, guys. I'm so excited for it to go live. There's always that nervous energy whenever you're about, like, I have that, at least whenever I'm about to like put something out into the universe. It's like the kind of thing where it's like I'm looking at it and I'm scrubbing through it and I'm watching it back and everything, and I'm just like, this is so good. This is so good. It's going to help so many people. And so I'm excited to like, I do not have the feeling like, oh, is it people going to like this? It's like, no, like I know people are going to love it. And I'm so, I'm so excited. So excited for that to come out. So yeah, just like in the next 12 days, we have so much to do. Like, here, let me tell you all the different things I have to do. I have a to-do list here. So I have to finish the sales page, right? We have I hired a copywriter to generate all new sales copy for Gifted to Paid. I have to finish identifying what the bonuses are going to be for the launch. I have to add all the sales emails to my email marketing software, ConvertKit. I have to create an abandoned cart automation. So if someone clicks on the link to read more about the course and they don't end up checking out within a certain time period, I have an automation set up with my email software where it'll send them an email saying, hey, I saw that you checked out the course, but you didn't end up making a purchase. Hit reply to this email if you have any questions that's like preventing you from participating or signing up. So I have to set that up. I have to, I finished the slides for the course. I filmed all the videos. We're finalizing all the edits to the videos and like kind of chopping them up into different modules. We have to design. So we're, instead of using like a traditional course software to actually serve the videos, I'm going to be having everything in Circle, which is like my private community. And so it's going to be a course within the community. And so it's like a separate space that you can click on that's like gated. So if you have not, invested in it, you'll click on it and then it'll be kind of like a paywall. It'll say, hey, do you want to participate? If you want to join this, click here to read more. And then the moment that someone joins, they'll get access to that, and then it'll have all the course collateral in there. So we have to design the whole structure of how like everything flows within the community. I have to upload all the videos to that, obviously. Want to generate like captions for accessibility and chapter like timestamps and everything. So that's a lot of work. I have to test that the sales page payment processing works. So once someone actually checks out, ensuring that the transactions are working properly across PayPal and other payment processors, and then I'm basically redirecting people from Thinkific, which is where my sales page is, into Circle. So basically sending them over to where they can access the course material. I have to figure out a new badge for people who join the community based on signing up for Gifted to Paid. So I got to figure out what that is. I have to I had to film an intro video saying, "Hey, thank you so much for purchasing," right? Like a welcome video. I'm going to be having supplemental resources. So in Gifted to Paid. So actually, take a step back. What is Gifted to Paid? So Gifted to Paid is my new course that's focused on aspiring and kind of introductory creators who are getting a bunch of free product offers from brands, and they want to figure out, how do I actually convert these into paid partnerships? Because this is a very big sticking point that I've heard from so many creators. It's like my most requested course by far over the last like 18 months. And so this course is all around that. And so one of the features of the course, and what I talk about in a lot of detail, is I have 15, I think actually 16 scenarios now, where I coach you through exactly what you can say based on that scenario. So if a brand says, "Hey, join our ambassador program," here's what you say. Something different. Here's what you say if they say, "Hey, join our affiliate program." Or if they say, "Hey, here's a gift card." Or if they say, "Hey, our product is expensive, so that should be compensation enough." Or they say, "Hey, we want to do a trial post first for free, and if it goes well, then we'll talk about paying you." Right? So there's all these scenarios, 15 or 16 that I've identified, that creators, they hear all these and they think, "Oh, that's just like different versions of them saying, we're not going to pay you." But in my experience, it's actually different things that you should be saying to pivot and propose different things to actually convince them and articulate why they should compensate you. And so all of those like email templates that I'm recommending, I'm going to be having all those in a Notion template. And so working on the Notion template and just other resources within that Notion. Affiliate launch, there, I have like a big, fairly large alumni population now who has taken both the beta of my Gifted to Paid course as well as my Brand Deal Wizard program. And so I want to let them know that the course is launching and that they can, make, I compensate my affiliates 25% on enrollment. So Gifted to Paid is going to be $500 for the investment. And so basically they'll be eligible to get 25% of that if they recommend anyone in their network or other creator friends to participate or invest in it. And then I need to put together a survey at the end of the course so that I can get feedback on how to make it better. So that's what I have for now. That is the list of everything I need to do in the next 12 days. It's not just me. I have Russell on my team as well as Dee, and so they're definitely helping. But there's just so much stuff to do. And again, like I don't do anything half-ass like at all. And so I definitely want to make sure that I do it right. And so just lot to do in the next 12 days, basically. So Molly says, the email templates are freaking gold. I use them regularly and they always work. DMMMEE11 says, how do I find your course? So if you want this specific course, it's giftedtopaid.com. So gifted, GIFTED, TOPAID.com. That's the wait list. And so if you're on there, you'll definitely receive kind of the launch emails and everything like that. Or you can just join my email list, which is just creatorwizard.com/join. And you'll find out about it as well when I launch. Molly says, does Thinkific have specific benefits to their sales page? What made you decide to host the sales page on Thinkific if you're hosting it on Circle? Because Molly, Circle does not have the ability to basically create like compelling landing pages. There's a certain kind of layout to how I want the sales page to look. And at least right now, Circle doesn't have the ability to like generate landing pages because that would have been the ideal scenario. Like, so there's 3 requirements that I need for a program or like a software tool to allow me to, let people pay me. Basically, I need an ability to make a very compelling landing page with different elements. So, videos and testimonials and text, rich text, and like pricing area and like modules to what all the modules are and everything. I need to make sure it looks good on desktop and mobile and tablet and all those orientations. So it's like a responsive landing page. So that's one thing. And then the second thing is checkout, right? So a way to actually like accept money and have, flexibility. So people want to pay on PayPal or Apple Pay or whatever. That's something they offer. And then the third thing is the affiliate tracking. So being able to provide people a unique tracking link or URL that they can send to other people. And so if that person checks out using their link, then it'll track it in the system and tell me that, I need to pay out this person this much money during this time period or whatever. And so it's actually quite elusive to find a tool that unifies all three of those things. And the weird thing is that I'm not even using Thinkific for the course module area, right? Because, I could have done that, but like the goal for me is I wanted to unify everything in one place. And Circle, because I have my cohort-based course, Brand Deal Wizard, in Circle, I wanted to have everything in there because there's a benefit, right? Like if just speaking candidly from my own creator business, there is a benefit to having people in one place, because if they're in Circle and they, let's say, invest in gifted to paid and they really enjoy it, and say, hey, well, what else does Justin offer? Like, how else can I work with him or whatever? There's an advantage to them being like, oh, what is this other section here where it says Brand Deal Wizard, and they click on it and they don't have access to it, right? And so it's like, an ability for them to see everything that I have in one place and be able to easily upgrade and, join other programs and other things that I offer. So it's been a long time coming, to be able to kind of design a very seamless experience for people in my community, but I'm finally putting all the pieces together. So I'm very, very excited about that. So yeah, let me know if that answers your question. Yeah, Patrick said, holla, big old to-do list. Yeah, oh my goodness, totally. Marcus says, yeah, I also use Thinkific for my courses. It works really well. Yeah, so glad to hear that, man. Break Even Book said, I tried going for a collaboration with an audiobook company, which is perfect for the niche that I create content for, and they turned me down because I don't have 10,000 followers. I'm 3 away from 7K. Yeah, it's so funny because that is one of the exact scenarios that I talk through in my gifted to paid course, Break Even Books, because that is definitely one that creators hear a lot. It's like, oh, we have a minimum arbitrary number of followers, that you should be, that you need to have for us to, collaborate with you. And so, again, a lot of it comes down to just like pivoting the conversation to actually asking them, like, hey, like, can you explain a little bit in a little bit more detail, like what it is about this follower threshold that you feel is important and valuable for for a collaboration. Asking more detailed questions like, tell me about some of the collaborations that you've done in the past. Right? Like, has this, what drove the needle the most? What types of creators did you partner with? What types of content formats? Tell me a little bit about what you're trying to accomplish with this campaign. Again, going back to what we talked about at the beginning of the live stream, is it conversion focused? Is it repurposing? Is it brand awareness? Starting to ask these questions so that you are able to basically separate yourself from being a commodity, right? Because at the end of the day, that's what it is. When brands will tell you that they have these arbitrary thresholds that you need to hit to be able to collaborate with them, it's because they view creators as commodities. Honestly, frankly, at the end of the day, they say, oh, well, every creator is the same. So as long as they have 10,000 followers, that's the way in which we, find value from, or that's the criteria that we have. And so it takes you sometimes double clicking on that and not taking no for an answer, basically, and politely, challenging that for them to potentially say, oh, you know what, like this is, allowing us to think a little bit more critically around our strategy of working with creators. And, this person brought up some valid points. And so maybe let's give it a shot to work with them. And so it's not always going to happen. Like, there will be some closed-minded brands who are just have these, like sometimes it comes down from above, right? Like it's the contact that you reached out to and it's like, well, my boss, like they're not going to tell you this, but like, oh, well, my boss, like the senior management has implemented this like arbitrary threshold, like 50,000 followers, like we're only working with people above that or whatever. And so sometimes it's out of their hands, but again, if it is, a situation where the person that you're talking to does have decision-making power or does have some input into the overall strategy of working with creators, asking these types of questions and kind of, again, being a detective, being a consultant, and, being interested in their business outcomes can make all the difference. Yeah. All right. So Marcus says in the chat, I'm going to read this, but if you have any questions around negotiating sponsorships, please let me know in the chat. This is your time to ask. My time is your time on these live streams, so please do let me know. Marcus says, I'm at around 6,000 followers, but the metrics that impress companies are my affiliate sales stats and my search ranking for specific topics. Break Even Books, in my case, he's replying to Break Even Books. Even though I'm a small channel, I do very well in my specific niche, specifically hybrid meetings. What's so interesting, Marcus? The other day, someone told me that I rank number 1 or number 2 on Google for the search term, how much to charge for brand deals. I was like, what? And so I went and I tested it. And sure enough, I'm literally in a bunch of different countries. Like other people were like tweeting me, like I'm number 1 on Google when you search that term, my website, creatorwizard.com. And I literally have given zero thought to my SEO strategy over the last like 2 years at all. I've basically just been repurposing all of my YouTube content and turning them into blog posts. That's it. And so I was so blown away by the fact that like, wow, like this is, I guess I should be taking this stuff more seriously because another like data point here was that I had someone who hired me for a one-on-one coaching session, and I just randomly asked them, like, how did you find me? Because they're kind of a non-traditional creator. And he said, I was Googling sponsorship courses because I wanted to take a course and I found you. I found your website. And I thought to myself, like, man, like how many people out there are like Googling, like for random stuff. They're not like following my social media or whatever. They're just like Googling stuff and they run across my page or, and so like this, again, like I don't have the largest social footprint by any means, but like it's that long tail traffic that can potentially be a pretty lucrative income stream for you as a creator if you take this stuff more seriously. And so, yeah, I love that call out, Marcus, because for sure, like you don't have to have the largest following in the world, but if you're relevant to a concentrated few, that can become very meaningful. Jessica Moylan says, as always, Justin, your knowledge is absolute gold. Thank you. So great to hear that. Thank you, Jessica. I always really appreciate it. We got Shubham Bardwaj. Did I pronounce your name correctly? Shubham Bardwaj says, thanks for suggesting, Justin. I sent an email to the brand who was trying to do a barter payment. Absolutely. Oh, yeah, I sent that on Twitter to you. How do you deal with a brand who pitches us thinking that their win-win situation, like a brand approaches me for a review, but wasn't ready to pay me or do a link exchange or something, giving me their subscription, which I don't need? I think that, yeah, a lot of the stuff that I talk about in that video I sent you is trying to, encourage and educate the brand to have a mindset shift around the value that you can bring them. So, they may think that like, oh yeah, that like giving you a subscription to our product or giving you free, access or whatever is like enough. It should be enough. Illustrating, hey, I can like actually help you in a lot of different ways. Maybe it's creating content for you on your social platforms or your website. Maybe it's, doing a webinar to your customers or something like that. I'm a subject matter expert in this niche. I can do that for you. And so those are the types of, those are just 2 examples, but those are the types of things that you could be compensated for as a creator. They're going to get that. Like, oh yeah, he's not going to do a webinar, 1-hour webinar for free. Like, I guess we got to pay him for, for doing that. Right. But that's value to their customers. Right. And so your channel or your platform is your portfolio, like we talked about in this scenario, right? And so, rather than, oh, we talk about you on my channel, it's like, no, like, let me, I have a couple of other ideas of how I can actually serve your brand, maybe a little bit non-traditional, but what do you think, right? So I think that's really the name of the game. All right. Break Even Book said, yeah, that's good advice. Maybe I will try and get more info from them next time this happens. And see if I can turn it into an informative discussion on what I can really offer them. Absolutely. Marcus Present says, hey, the webinar to their customers is a brilliant idea that I never thought of. Well, you know what, Marcus? Perhaps like one of the things I love the most about like doing these live streams, or even me when I listen to podcasts or whatever, is that I always look for and I always try to take away one new idea that I hadn't thought of, or a mindset shift or something that I've never heard before. And so much of my success to date has been trying to take that approach. So who knows, maybe you just coming on this live stream, randomly could change the trajectory of your entire business. This is now offering like webinar in a boxes is now something you offer, Marcus, right? And this could be something that you could charge a lot of money for, probably, right? And so like, yeah, I always love this approach, and from your own, extrapolate this for everyone, for your own creator business. Like, how could you take this approach where like trying to be a student of life and never stop learning when it comes to this stuff? Because like I've learned so much, just from like even having like, kind of random Zoom conversations with people who I meet on Twitter or on the internet or whatever, and just like meeting cool people, and then like one thing they say like really resonates with you, and you're like, you know what, I'm gonna try that. So yeah, glad that was helpful. We got Katricia Rose in the IG chat saying, any tips on getting a brand's attention and getting a conversation going? Absolutely. So one of the most important like pieces of advice I give around getting on brands' radars has to do with number one, curating your brand identity, your creator identity on social media so that you can attract brands. And this is one thing I cover extensively in my new course that's coming out in 2 weeks called Gifted to Paid. And because so much of like actually convincing a brand to compensate you for a partnership comes down to them envisioning like that partnering with you will actually be a good move, right? Because so much of it is like risk assessment, right? They'll land on your profile and they'll just be like, I don't know if this person like matches our aesthetic for our brand or our mission or our values or whatever. Seems like they're kind of posting crazy stuff. I don't know if they're in the niche that, or they really speak to the audience that we want. And so we're just going to move on. And they never reach out to you, right? They just land on your profile and do their own internal assessment. They're like kicking the tires on you. And this happens all the time. I guarantee it, because we did it all the time when I ran the agency, right? And I know a lot of people in this space, and like this happens, right? And so a lot of what I focus on in the first section of my course is this idea around curating a identity on social media of one that a brand could envision partnering with you. And so that's one aspect. And then the second piece of this is like tagging the brand organically on social media and talking about them, starting to get on their radar, because a lot of creators think like, okay, if I'm tagging them on Instagram stories or in my in-feed posts or on Twitter or on TikTok or whatever, like why would they pay me? If I'm tagging them, like why would they pay me? And that is the biggest myth when it comes to actually partnering with brands, because if they do not know that you're already authentic fans of them, how are they ever going to find you, right? Because a lot of creators, they'll see other friends or other peers or other creators partner with their dream brand, and then they be like, that's not fair. Like that creator doesn't even like that brand. Like I've been the one who's been using it for 3 years, and like this is so unfair. And it's like, how is the brand supposed to know that? You think they're like following every creator under the sun and like watching your YouTube videos, or what you talked about them in a random TikTok, but you didn't tag them or you didn't include them in your caption or what? Like, how are they supposed to know that you're an authentic fan? And so a lot of creators think, well, yeah, like, but okay, yeah, I tagged them, but then they'll see me posting about them and then they're gonna be like, why would I pay that person? And in reality, when a brand or an agency decides that they want to hire creators for a paid campaign, it's because they have a specific campaign or a specific promotion, specific something that they're trying to encourage people, a specific action that they're trying to encourage consumers to take, right? So whether it's use my promo code Justin20 for 20% off your first purchase, right? Go and do that now. Or it's the summer, fashion, blah, 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 some sort of promotion, or it's a new product launch or whatever. It's like something very specific. And when they hire you, the reason that they do that is because they want to have more control over what you say. They want to, get certain sound bites, right, for you to say in that content. They want you to talk about specific features of benefits of the new product that they're launching. They want to do something, right? Very specific. And so they can repurpose and cut down your content so that they can use it for paid ads or embed it on their website or whatever. You're not saying those things when you're just randomly talking about the brand on social media, right? It's so much easier to hire a creator who's already familiar with a brand or a product to do a campaign than it is to like hire someone who's coming in cold off the street who has never even heard of the brand of the product, right? So again, I really encourage you to have a mindset shift around this piece where it's so much easier for a brand to envision hiring you if you're already talking about them already, okay? And Nick Lewis says in the YouTube chat, I'll also add to that when they pay you, they also get to control the narrative, right? Exactly. They want to pay you because they can get their talking points in. And I think that this is a very, very important point, Nick, which I'm really glad you brought up, which is that it is reasonable for the brand to have an expectation of control, of more control, right? Because this is a business transaction. They are compensating you to talk about them. And a lot of creators will be like, yeah, but they're violating my creative, like genius or the creative latitude that I want to have on my platforms. Yes, that's valid, but it's a balance, right? Like, yes, you should also be able to lean in to your expertise on, so, having built this social following, and say to the brand like, hey, thank you for these 7 pieces of feedback that you gave me on my content. 4 of these are great. The other 3, I actually think that we should perhaps either not do these or do these in a slightly different way, because in my experience, if I do that, the content is going to perform poorly, or I'm going to get pushback from my audience, or whatever, yada, 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 right? Like, a lot of creators think they can't push back on feedback, and you absolutely can, but you need to do it in a constructive way that also is coming from a place of education rather than a place of condescension. So rather than being like, I'm the genius, like, you need to like follow all my words, like, you don't want to do that, right? You actually want to, say, hey, I'm trying to do this because I want the campaign to perform as best as possible based on the goals that you identified at the outset when we first started this conversation. And I think you'd be surprised at how many brands will be very receptive to that. So many creators are so scared of like, giving the brand any sort of feedback or pushback on these types of edits because they think the brand will get mad. And, in reality, most brands they'll basically say like, wow, thank you very much. No creator has ever said that to us before. That's so interesting. Like, okay, let's do that. Right. And so much of being a professional creator comes down to leaning into your own expertise and wisdom of, again, like, you are day in and day out. Like, think about the amount of content that you're posting on social media. Every day of organic content, right? Like, probably 90%, 80%, 95%. I don't know what it is for you, but like, the vast majority of your content is not sponsored, right? It's just like content that you're posting regularly, right? And so you have your finger on the pulse of like what is actually working in your industry or in your content niche, right? Or in your community or on your podcast, you're hearing listener feedback, or in your courses that you're running or whatever. Like, you have your finger on the pulse of that, right? And so the brand is not. The brand is not doing that day in and day out. And so, you may think that they've got it all figured out, but they don't, right? And so you need to lean into that. Yeah, and Nick says in the chat, you got to push back. The brand knows the product, but you know the audience, so you have to respect each other. Very succinctly well said. And that was said with much more brevity than I did, Nick. So I appreciate you. Mocktail Mom says, best advice on tagging brands. Thank you. What is going on? Great to see you. Great to see you here. And glad it was helpful. Marcus Present says, reminds me that this spring, a brand I worked with did a poll about the name of a new product. I told them all of the ideas were bad, and I explained why. They really appreciated that unexpected feedback. They called it Above and Beyond. Wow. Fascinating. Marcus, because what did you just do in that very small instance? You separated yourself from everyone else. Everyone else who was saying like, oh yeah, I like this one, or I like this one. And you say, actually, you know what? None of the above. I'm gonna say option E, none of the above, right? And here's the reason why. Because most people are not going to give them that feedback. And now you look like someone who actually cares about their success. And so the next time that perhaps they want to hire you for doing content or maybe a paid consulting opportunity, they're going to remember that really awesome feedback that you actually gave to them, right? And I can't tell you how surprised I have been of the amount of consulting gigs that I have been able to, do as a result of putting out content on social media with brands and companies, right? Like, my customer, I consider my customer or whatever, not in the sales term, well, in the sales terminology, but also like it's this, idea of like when you have a business or when you're creating content or whatever, like you should have what's called an ideal follower persona or an ideal customer persona or consumer persona, right? And it's like, who am I actually serving, right? Who am I creating content for? Who am I coaching? My ideal person, my ideal client, my ideal customer, this type of thing, right? And so it's very much creators for me, but like I've had all these ancillary opportunities or these kind of orthogonal opportunities working with amazing brands and startups, and I've done consulting for investment firms and consulting firms like Bain Capital and just all sorts of crazy cool stuff because I have expertise in this area and they see that, right? And so I would encourage you to, think about like what is the expertise that you have as a creator, and what are all the other ways in which you may be able to serve slightly ancillary types of people and customers and brands and companies and so on, in a way that could potentially turn into a pretty lucrative income stream for you too. So Patricia Rose says, thank you. You are welcome. We got Dana Patroy, I think it's Patroy, tuning in on IG. Thank you for tuning in. I'm like tripping over my words today. Mocktail Mom says, how are you? Your course is amazing. I appreciate you so much. I'm so thrilled to hear that you found value from it. And just the level of support that my alumni community, like you, Mocktail Mom, has you guys always come out on my live streams and just on social media, and just your passion and your enthusiasm for how much the program helped you. It's just like so fulfilling to me, honestly. Like at the end of the day, it's just like I wake up every day so excited to serve y'all, and it really, really does mean a lot to me. John Nakamoto says, brand deal wizard rules. Thank you, man. I appreciate you. And I was one other cool thing that I'm doing right now is I hired my copywriter Purna again for a second project to redesign all of the copy on my sales page for Brand Deal Wizard for the next cohort for October. And part of that project was that she interviewed a bunch of my past students. She also interviewed a bunch of people who actually have not joined the course yet, in addition to like actually interviewed them over Zoom. But also I had a survey that I sent out to my audience with like a bunch of questions around that. And she just delivered it was like a 55-page research document of all the insights from all those interviews and research and so on. And there was like a section all around like wins, which was just so fun to read. And it's anonymous. Like, I don't know who this was, and I wish I did, but someone said in the wins section, this was a past student, said that in the 6 months after participating in my program, they've made $23,000 in paid sponsorships. And that for reference, in all of 2021, they made $1,000 total. So they went from making only $1,000 the year prior to making $23,000 in 6 months. So it's just like these types of transformations and these types of results. I can't tell you how happy it makes me, because it's like I just want to see people win. I want to see people succeed, and it's just like being able to teach people about how to become more professional and how to systematize working with brands and create actually a robust process behind this. I just nerd out over this stuff. So it's just so fulfilling and thrilling to me to hear that people also enjoy nerding out on this topic. Oh my goodness. And you know what so much is going on, guys. It's crazy. Like the other major like new thing that I'm doing for, if you're on my email list, you saw this announcement, but I'm actually increasing the investment to the program to 3,000 next cohort. And I announced that I'm capping it at 50 for the October cohort. And I had several people reach out to me asking if they could prepay to reserve their seat for the October cohort. And I was just like, what? Like, really? You want to participate this badly that you're willing to prepay? It's like 2 months in advance, basically. And they're like, yeah, I really want to get in and all this stuff. And so I've accepted multiple prepayments already. So it's not 50 anymore. I think we're down to like 47 or 48 or whatever. I think we'll be 47 by the end of today. And so it's like, it's just crazy to me that there are like people again. So I basically like kind of thought through the pros and the cons of allowing prepayments. And I talked to some, friends and kind of my network who have experienced doing this type of stuff. And basically the pros overwhelmingly was like, yes, do it. Like it's basically kind of like a bird in the hand. As long as you kind of explain to people like, hey, the onboarding and the experience is not going to fully start until October. But if you want to reserve your slot, you can. And so if any of you are listening and you really do want to participate and you want to reserve your slot, send me a DM, send me an email, and we can get you set up. I was going to say something. Crafting with Crazy. What is going on? Nick Talks Design. Kendra Salahu. Did I say your name correctly? Thank you for joining on IG. We got Jerry Burstein 0 tuning in as well. Nick Lewis said, it's all valuable info. When brands started reaching out, I had no idea what I was doing. Creators don't talk about this enough for good reason. And brands and agencies can take advantage of you. Yeah. I think that's, one of the core missions that I have is like, you don't know what you don't know when you're starting out as a creator. The vast majority of people did not get into this thinking like, I'm going to be a business person. It's like, no, you got into this to create amazing content. You got into it for the love of the craft, and that's okay. But realizing that, okay, well, now you are a business to some degree. If like working with brands is a way in which you generate income, then you need to take this stuff seriously. And there, in my view, there's no better investment than like learning how to speak, learning like vocabulary of how, so much of it comes down to like these subtle psychological, like negotiation tactics when you're communicating with brands, and like the words you say really matter. Like for those of you who have seen on my my YouTube channel, I have this video called "Secret Words to Make Brands Pay You More." It's like the words you say matter. They really, really matter, and so that's why I dive so deeply into this idea in my course. So. Yeah, Marcus Presents says, I got into content creation through Think Media. They always emphasize the business side. Man, well, you got John Nacarado in the chat, Marcus. So you guys should you got some bro love going on here because John is the brand partnerships manager for Think Media. So we've got all sorts of testimonials going on today. But anyways, y'all, thank you so much for tuning into the live stream every single week. So many of you come every single time, which always means so much to me. I hope you got a lot of value out of this stream. Excited to see you back next week for another live stream. And I hope you have a great weekend. If you're living in the US, I hope you have a wonderful long weekend for Labor Day. And I will see you all